All right, well, welcome to our first of two series of our dual enrollment meetings. So we appreciate you being here tonight. It's a very busy time, as we were talking about just a few minutes ago, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so we know how busy life is during these moments. So we're super excited and thankful that you could be with us tonight. My name is Owen Crosby. I am an assistant superintendent for our school district. I oversee the educational services side of it. What that doesn't necessarily mean a ton, but what it does, it gives me the opportunity and privilege to work with staff members at our school district and also GoldenWest College to develop our dual enrollment program. So tonight, we're very excited to have you here and to learn a little bit more about the program, what dual enrollment means for families and for students, and the benefits of it. So before we get going, just a couple of thank yous. Dr. Melissa Chan is over there in the sideline. She is one of our special programs administrators at our district office. Stacy Robson is over there also. She's a special program coordinator also for APA. We have our two board members here sitting in the front row, Dr. Dwayne Dishno, trustee, thank you for being here tonight, and Diana Carey, thank you for being here tonight also. And finally, I'd like to introduce GoldenWest College President, Dr. Tim McGrath. We entered into an agreement, a partnership probably 4 or 5 years ago. And since that time, we've developed such a great relationship between the Huntington Beach Union High School District and the GoldenWest College staff. We're super excited and very thankful that President McGrath can be here this evening to share with us everything that he knows and contributes to dual enrollment in our partnership, but also obviously through GoldenWest College. So, President McGrath, thank you for being here this evening.
So I remember when I was a student in high school, one of the most stressful times in my life was when I was a junior and especially as a senior, because everyone asked me 2 questions and I didn't know the answer to either one of them. Where was I going to go to school and what was I going to major in? And it seemed like as I got closer and closer to graduation, those questions became more and more intense, and I just wanted to shrivel up and hide somewhere because I really didn't know the answer. And so I was thinking a couple of years ago, I wish there would have been someone like me when I was in high school that could have talked to my parents as well as to me about what the next steps were. One of the things I am going to talk about tonight is dual enrollment, but I'm also going to talk about college and what the options are, the cost of college, some of the scholarships available, and then I also want to let you know I will hang around at the end as long as you would like me to. You can ask me whatever question. If I don't know the answer, I'll go and find it and get back to you. So please don't wonder like this is the only time. Tonight will be your time, and we can work out other things as well. So here we go. Next slide, please. So my background is when I was in high school, I grew up in Big Bear, and my dad had all of my brothers and I take college classes. At that time, it was San Bernardino Valley College. They were the college in Big Bear. And each one of my brothers and I, we all had at least a semester. And for me, I had my first year of college done when I was done with high school. And really, it was my dad saw something that none of the other parents did. And that was an opportunity for high school students to take college classes. And those classes were free for high school students. And they transferred to whatever college that you wanted to go to. When I was done with Big Bear, I went to Santa Monica College, and I went there for 2 years and played basketball. Then I went to Cal Lutheran and played basketball. And then I went to Pepperdine and got a master's in administration and then a law degree at Western State. And so that's my educational background. Next slide, please. My work experience, I've been the president at GoldenWest College for 5 years. Before that, the lower left-hand corner, I was the vice president of instruction at Mesa College, which is about the size of probably Orange Coast and GoldenWest together. It's a rather large college. Before that, I was the dean of technology, which is the career tech programs at Rio Hondo, and my first administrative job was at Moorpark College, which is near Thousand Oaks. So that's my background. I've been in the community college world about 25 years. Next slide, please. For a lot of people, and I will talk a little bit about the privates, but in our world of the public education, the last 2 years of high school lead to the first 2 years of college. And no matter what college that you go to, whether you go to GoldenWest, Long Beach State, SC, Harvard, UCLA, everyone takes the same courses, are called general ed courses, your first 2 years. Regardless of where you go, as I said, those courses are all similar across the country. And so in our system, there's 116 community colleges. There's 23 Cal States. In this area, it's Fullerton and Long Beach. And there's 10 UCs. In this area, UCLA, UC Riverside, UC San Diego. And the difference is the Cal States primarily, when they were created, it was for blue collar. The idea was no research. That has changed dramatically over the years, but the teachers' college, business majors, those went to the Cal State, and all the research went to the UCs. Medical, dentists, engineering, and as I said, that has changed over the years, but that's the distinction of how they were started. Next slide, please. The other thing is I've been hearing more and more, why go to college? And so just imagine right now, if you graduated from high school, your career earnings would be about $1.3 million. With a 2-year degree, it's about $1.7 million. A bachelor's degree, $2.5 million, and a doctoral degree, $3.5 million. So it's almost like you can't afford not to go to college. And what I tell a number of students when I talk to them, at least get your first 2 years out of the way, get the general ed, then you can get into the work environment, do whatever you want, because then you could go back to college and major in something, and that's what will open up career doors for you. A lot of people graduate from high school and then go directly into the workforce and then realize, oops, I hit my head on the ceiling rather quickly, and because of that, now I have to go back, and 4 years is a lot longer than 2 years. And so that's why I say immediately from high school, and as we're going to talk about dual enrollment, a number of students can have at least a year and some 2 years of college done before they ever graduate from high school, and so that's a huge advantage. Next slide, please. I don't know if you can see this in the back, but everyone always tells me, oh, I have to go to a community college. Well, if you truth be known, right now there's about 3 million college students in the public education system in California, and 2.3 million of them go to community colleges. Of the CSUs, it's about 500,000. The UCs is 285,000. So when you talk about college students in California, the vast majority of them are going to community colleges. If you add up the CSU, UC, and privates, SC, Loyola, it is half the size of the community college enrollment. So in this state, community colleges play a huge part in the work of higher education for sure. Next slide, please. Also, for some students, especially in high school, you're used to going to high school 8 to 2, 8 to 3, 5 days a week. And when you take a look at your college schedule, it's a huge change. In college, you will go, if you take 15 units, every hour of lecture equates to a unit. So you'll be going to school about 15 hours a week. I can also say for the students that are going to go to college, you can equate about 2 or 3 hours of homework time to every hour that you're in class. And so it still equates to about the same amount of time that you're in high school. But in college, you get to choose. You can go only in the evening. You can do it all online. You can just go on Tuesdays or Thursdays. The schedule in college is much more flexible than it is in high school for sure. Next slide, please. The other thing is, I in high school never knew this, but I didn't want anyone to know that I didn't know it, so I was really quiet. I didn't understand the degrees and how many units and how does it all work together. So if you go to a community college, and community colleges are the only ones that give associate degrees. It's a 2-year degree, it's 60 units, and when you have a community college degree, you let all the institutions know by having that degree that you have met all of the general ed requirements. By going to a UC or Cal State, they can't require you to take additional units. If you transfer without an associate degree, they can require you to take additional units. And a lot of students will transfer early, and oops, when they get there, they realize they could have to take some additional classes over. A bachelor's, and when someone says, I have a college degree, that usually means a bachelor's degree, and that's 120 units. And where the units come from is a full load is 15 hours a semester, so an entire year is 30 units. So your first 2 years, you're taking general ed and some of your major classes. Your last 2 years is where you major in whatever your expertise is going to be, and that's when you get a bachelor's degree. A master's is usually another year or so. A doctorate can be from 1 to 4 years. A doctor of medicine is 7 years, and so you're going to be there a lot longer. And you can see for law, medical, and dental, it's 3+ years. Next slide, please. So this is where, for the parents, we have a daughter that did really, really well in school, and she was accepted to everywhere that she applied to. And so my wife and I started looking at Loyola, Pepperdine, SC, and seeing what the cost was. And we determined that we could send Chelsea to any of those schools, but we would be eating spaghetti for the next 35 years. And so we just knew we'd get used to it. That's going to be our life. We couldn't believe the sticker shock of how much the college education really costs. And so we lived through it, and that's part of what I'm going to share with you this evening. Next slide, please. So let's say that your son or daughter comes home and says, I want to be a Trojan. I love the fight song. They're going to be in the national championship. Boy, I can see myself, mom or dad, at SC. So if you look, the tuition and fees is $64,000 a year. That equates to about $2,000 a unit. That means when you take one 3-unit psychology class, that's $6,000. Room and board is about $17,000, books and supplies, $1,200, other expenses, $4,000. So 1 year at SC costs $87,000. A 4-year degree at SC is around $350,000. I can tell you when my wife and I saw that, we were thinking maybe half a portion of spaghetti the rest of our lives. Next slide, please. So let's say SC is a little bit out of our price range. Let's take a look at one of the UCs. The tuition and fees is $15,000, room and board $18,000, health insurance, everyone has to have the UC health insurance, $1,800, books and supplies $13,000, transportation $29,000. So it's $41,000 a year. If you look at the per unit, it's $500. So SC was how much? Does anyone remember a unit? $2,000. So the UCs are $500 a unit. And so for 4 years at UCI, for instance, you're looking at around $164,000, $65,000. Next slide, please. So let's say you want to go to Long Beach instead, or Cal State Fullerton. The tuition is $6,700, room and board $10,000, books and supplies $1,200, all the similar costs. A year at Long Beach is around $22,000, 4 years is $88,000, and you can see the tuition per unit is $226, which is half of the UCs. They're comparable in their education, but the UCs are going to be geared more towards research. But you can see $88,000 is that what it's going to cost you. And my wife and I have 2, Chelsea and Tyler, so we were doubling everything, and I can tell you our eyes were rolling back in the back of our head. Next slide, please. So let's look at the community college. Tuition and fees is $1,400, and if you go to the bottom, it's $46 a unit. Now, why is the community college tuition 25% of the Cal State And the Cal State was $225. Does anyone know? That must mean that the community college education is so inferior, why are we even thinking about going to a community college? Does anyone know why the tuition is so low? I'll give you a hint, because you pay for it. When you send your son and daughter to Huntington Beach High School, it's paid by the taxpayers. In our system of education, it's called K through 14. The taxpayers pay for not only all the K-12 costs, but a significant amount of the cost for a community college. So you're paying the tuition right now, whether your son or daughter go to a community college, because in California, that's part of the educational master plan. The other thing that most people don't know is that if you send your son or daughter to a UC or a Cal State, the first 2 years, they don't see a tenured track faculty member. They see what's called a TA, a teacher assistant. And that means a graduate student that is majoring in history, for instance, and while they're going through and getting their master's degree, part of their commitment to the college is to teach general ed courses to freshmen and sophomores. In my world, I cannot put any faculty member in the classroom unless they have a master's degree. So the difference between a community college class and the instruction is night and day, because every instructor in my classroom has to have a master's degree. At the Cal States and UCs, the first 2 years, they only have TAs, teacher assistants. And you're already paying my faculty through the K-12, or excuse me, the K-14 system, which is part of the tax system in the state. Next slide, please. So if you look at the costs, 1 year of tuition at SC is $65,000. 1 year at UC is $15,000. 1 year at the Cal State is $6,700, and a year of tuition at a community college, you're all taking 15 units a semester or 30 units a year, is around $1,500. And so that's the difference. Now, I want to tell you a story about my daughter. My daughter was the valedictorian of her high school. And I remember she, as I said, could have gone anywhere that she wanted. And so we went on the college tours and we checked them all out. And I remember sitting down with Chelsea outside of UC Santa Barbara. And that afternoon we had gone, and there's a room probably larger than this that had about 800 seats in it. And the person that was running the seminar said, this is our psychology classroom, and it has about 800 students. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? In Chelsea's high school, there wasn't 800 students in the entire high school, and now she's going to be in a class where she's not even a number, she's not even a person, she is someone that makes up the masses that fill out this classroom. The other thing that they told us, and my wife and I said, that's it, that at any one time at UC Santa Barbara, about half the student population was either drunk or on drugs. And we said, I guess this isn't going to be one of the choices. So we took Chelsea to a restaurant right outside of UC Santa Barbara, and we sat down and we penciled out what it would cost to go to UC Santa Barbara, what it would cost to go to Loyola, and what it would cost to go to Moore Park. That was the closest college to us. And we told Chelsea, you're going to go to graduate school and we're going to pay for 4 years. So how about if you think about a community college for the first 2 years, and then we'll help pay for your graduate school on the other end. And I'll never forget, a little tear came down her cheek. Here she was, the valedictorian. How could we even think about sending her to a community college? Well, now fast forward about 15 years, she went to Moore Park, and then she went to Pepperdine and got a bachelor's in English. She then worked for Teach for America and got a master's of education. And then recently she got a Juris Doctorate. She's a lawyer from UCLA. And she called me and she said, Daddy, I know when we had that conversation at Rubio's, you were the worst dad in America because you considered sending me to a community college. But now, having gone to all colleges, all these 4 or 5 colleges across the country, the best education that I got was at Moore Park. I said, come on, Chelsea, why? She said, because at Moore Park, the only thing they had to do was to concentrate on the classroom. There was no research they had to do. There was nothing they had to do outside the classroom. They were paid to make sure that they interacted with me in a way that made sure that I learned, and that had a huge impact on me. And now, having finished my college career, I can tell you it made a huge difference, especially my first 2 years. Next slide, please. So one of the things that my wife and I struggled with, as I mentioned, was how are we going to pay for college? Especially now, with all the rising costs. It seems like every time we go to the grocery store, the costs have gone up. And it seems like we wanted to reward both of our kids with opportunities. They had earned them very definitely, but how are we going to pay for them without going into debt forever? So here are some ideas. Next slide, please. You get grants, scholarships, work studies, federal loans, and I will go through what those mean as we do this presentation. Next slide, please. But the best thing you can do right now is start getting college credit while your son or daughter are in high school. And what that means is, and I hear parents say all the time, well, I'm just going to go and get a, what's the honors program? Yeah, AP. I'll just get AP and that'll be the same. And I smile and say, but let's think about AP. First off, you have to score well enough in your AP class to qualify to take the exam. You have to pass the exam to get the college credit. And most people don't know, let's say you're going to SC. You could go to SC with your AP credit, but SC accepts the credit but not the units. So let's say you took an AP English class and you go to SC, you get the credit for taking the English, so you've met that requirement, but SC says, thank you very much, we still want the $6,000 for the 3-unit class, so take something else in lieu of that. If you take a dual enrollment course, and here at the high school through GoldenWest, the class that you take, you get high school credit and college credit, and that credit goes with you wherever you go. All the colleges, we have articulation agreements with all the major colleges and universities across the country. So there's no AP test, there's no magic score. As long as you get a C or better in your dual enrollment, that course now counts for units. It goes on a college transcript, and you meet the high school requirement as well as the college, so that, in essence, has put you a leg up on everyone else. We tell athletes all the time, suggestion, take dual enrollment while you're in high school. That way, if you want, or an actor or actress, if you're going to have some special talent in college where you need that additional time, since you've already had the college units coming from high school, it allows you to take a much lighter load your first year, sometimes 2 years in college, to make sure that you're prepared to meet what your heart's desire is, as well as stay on track to graduate in 4 years. Next slide. So right now, Huntington Beach Unified and GoldenWest students can take dual enrollment classes and earn high school and college credit at the same time. We've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. Every semester, every year, we continue to add new classes, and I think in the fall we are going to really take off and add even more. And the classes that we offer are usually general ed courses, with the idea being that wherever you go, these units will go with you, and they will meet IGETC, which is to the UC, or Cal State general ed requirements. So the classes you're taking, you can rest assured, go with you and transfer to the universities or colleges that you're thinking about going to. The other thing that's amazing is for high school students, it's 100% free. Part of the public education system is if you're in high school and you're taking a community college class, there's no tuition cost and there's no textbook cost. And so it really is a free class. And all college credits transfer to the UCs and the Cal States, as I mentioned. Next slide, please. Concurrent enrollment, where students also take classes at GoldenWest on the campus. So rather than taking it here, you take it at the college, or you can do it online. My preference is the dual enrollment, because that way you get the high school credit as well. But some students, either because there isn't a class that's offered here, they want to go to the campus or take it online. And I know for the last 2 years, the pandemic has opened up opportunities for students in a number of different ways through the virtual campus. I personally am happy that we have it, but also I know the virtual campus is not for everyone. And for me, being a college student, I didn't want to go to college sitting in front of my computer at my mom's kitchen table saying I'm going to college. So to me, having the college environment, being on a campus, being involved with others, is part of what is the richness of why people go to college. And so yes, you can go, you can take concurrent enrollment. You don't get the high school credit that you do with a dual enrollment unless the high schools will accept it coming back, but that's an option as well. Next slide, please. How you sign up, you just go, and I know the counselors at the high school here will help you as well. You could go online to GWC and apply, and as a high school student, you're in. Now because I'm from GoldenWest, obviously that's closer to my heart, but my preference is you don't have to go to GoldenWest. You can go to Orange Coast, you can go to Long Beach, Cerritos, Cypress, and because it's online, if you have a affiliation with one other college, please go and do. My point is, why are you paying additional money for classes that are being taught by some of the best educators that teach general ed in the state? Why not take advantage of it? And it's free. The textbook and the tuition is free. So take advantage of the opportunity rather than wish that you would have later on. Next slide, please. The other thing is, which is amazing to me, I can't tell you, at GoldenWest College, we give away from our foundation about $500,000 or $600,000 every year to students. 95% of that is money of students coming to GoldenWest rather than leaving GoldenWest and going elsewhere. And you know, one of the biggest issues we have, giving away $500,000, is our students coming from high school don't all apply for it. If I could tell anything to you, we will pay for your first year of college at GoldenWest. Tuition, books, we'll even give you some spending money. We have scholarships waiting, but what you have to do is you actually have to apply. And that for a high school student seems to be a difficult step, but as parents, I'm telling you, there is free money we give out every year. We love to give it to high school students, but you have to go through the process of actually applying. There is also, if you go to Barnes & Noble, if you Google scholarships, you will be shocked how much money is available in this country, in this state, in this city for high school students and college students to pay for, but you have to apply. And that is the biggest issue that all of us in education have. How do we get high school students and their parents to apply for the scholarships that we want to, we set aside for you, and we really are waiting to give to you? You just have to take the next step and to apply. Next. Financial aid. For most of you, if you have kids in college, you know this. FAFSA, even though it's a 5-letter word, for a parent it's a 4-letter word. To go through the FAFSA process is an ordeal. Every parent that has kids in college that are going to get financial aid have to fill out a FAFSA. And the first time you do it, it will get your attention. The second time it's easier, and the third time, and the fourth time. But FAFSA is something that will be part of your life as long as your student is in college, so get used to it. I think, if there's a counselor here, I think the FAFSA deadline is coming up. So if you have a senior, you need to have filled it out or get ready to fill it out because you will miss financial aid deadlines if you don't. And this is the key ingredient to getting any financial aid, no matter what college or university that you go to. It's a requirement by the federal government. Also, for non-citizens, the DREAM Act, you can apply for financial aid as well. And it's regardless of income. Every student should apply for financial aid. Next slide, please. Now, this is rather small, but when I do this presentation, I go on a couple of high school campuses, and I sit with high school seniors, and I say, I will pay for your first year of college. And in fact, I will probably give you about $20,000 that you can spend however you want. And as soon as I say that, I always say, get their attention. First off, in California, there is something called the Promise Grant. And every community college has it. GoldenWest has it as well. And it's called First Time, Full Time. If your student goes to, after they graduate from high school, to any community college, but let's say GoldenWest, we pay for a grant with the state of California, all of your tuition. It costs you nothing. And through our foundation, we cover most of, if not all of your books. So your first year at GoldenWest College is free. And if you get good enough grades, which C or better, then your second year can be free as well. Now I will read these because you probably can't see them. The top one is the Pell Grant. Every student can apply for a Pell Grant. You get up to $6,000. And if you apply general and you meet the requirements, you get the grant. The Promise is another $2,000. If you go to GoldenWest, we have a program right now where if you're a full-time student, we will pay you $20 an hour for a part-time job on the campus. You also can do internships in the community. And what's great about this program is the college pays the intern. So if I work for your company as a student, the college will pay the student to work for you, so it doesn't cost the employer anything. So the student now gets real life experience while they're going to college. We have paid them, and they can work up to 20, 25 hours a week, 20 hours a week, and that money goes directly to them. There is no hooks that have to go back to the college. There's also a federal grant, which is up to $500. The Cal Grant, which again is similar to the Pell Grant, is up to $1,600. There's a Chafee Grant of $5,000. And so at the end, the potential financial aid that every high school student in the state can get, and grants are different than loans. You don't have to pay them back. So you can get up to about $25,000 a year for every college student. So just think about this. At GoldenWest, I am paying you $25,000 to go to school. It doesn't cost anything for tuition. We're covering your books. And no matter where you go when you transfer, these units go with you. Is there a better deal? But I can tell you, if you have, if you're an athlete, if you're a APA student, if you have a religious affiliation, then we, community colleges, we still will accept you. But if you want to go to a four-year school because you have some other need, I certainly understand that. My son was a basketball player. He went to UCSD and played 4 years of basketball. And what he learned was, we told him, Tyler, absolutely, you don't have to go to a community college. Go to the UC, have a great time. But I want you to know, T, that you're going to have some skin in the game. So we made him take out a student loan. And it was about $5,000 for each year that he was at UCSD. We paid all the other costs because we wanted him to know there was a cost to going to university. And Tyler, when he went, said, no worries, Dad, because when you're a freshman in college, you're never going to, being 18, 22 is forever. You don't have to worry about it. Life is great. And so Tyler went the first year, did well, $5,000. Second year, $5,000. But what Tyler didn't know, which he's learned now, is something called compound interest. The interest accrues not only on the $5,000, but on the interest as well. So by the time that he had graduated, that $20,000 student loan that he got was about $31,000. And I remember 6 months after you graduate is when you get your first student loan payment. And I remember getting a phone call from T-Man, and he said, Dad, you didn't, and I said, T-Man, I told you your first year this day was coming. And he said, Dad, they charge me interest. I said, T, get used to the real world. So $31,000 on $20,000, there you go. But let's even think about this bigger. Let's say that Tyler would have wanted to go to SC where it's $350,000 for 4 years. So if his payments, and they were about $300 a month for $31,000, think what his payments would be for $350,000. you're probably looking at $2,500 to $3,000 a month for 30 years. And so when you're 18, oh, I'll make plenty, don't even worry about it. But then when I ask a high school student, all right, let's say you get an amazing job right out of college. What is your job going to be? And they say, all right, and how much are you going to make? $100,000, great. So let's talk about it. You make $100,000, I've rounded up. Let's say it's $10,000 a month. So how much is taxes to the federal government going to be? Probably about 30%. So now you're down to 7. And so how much are state taxes? Probably around 10. So now you're down to 6. And how much is it going to cost to rent something, because you can't buy anything initially? And so in Huntington Beach, what are you looking at? 2,000? 2,500? So now we're down to 3,500. And are you going to have a car? Oh yeah, so let's say that's 500. And you're going to eat anything? And before you know it, you're losing money, and you make $120,000 a year. And guess what? You haven't made your interest. You haven't made your student loan payment, which is $3,500 a month. All of a sudden, a student loan, are you kidding me? That little red wagon goes around with you wherever you go. And so one of the key things that I try and tell students, and you tonight as parents, it's so pea-picking easy to get student loans, but you can't get rid of them. Bankruptcy, I think even if you die, they come after you anyway. So student loans are something that follow you wherever you go. And for those of you in the audience that are still making student loan payments, you certainly know what I'm talking about. Next slide, please. If you're a if you're a veteran, the VA bill is something that is an amazing award. Those that have served our country, we as a society have said we want to reward not only the people that serve, but also their families. So if you or your spouse were in the military, your son or daughter can get VA benefits, and they are huge. Makes a huge difference, and that's something that you don't have to pay back either. There are websites here, the GI Bill, the CalVet, and both of those are great programs. And so if you or your spouse has any military background, please look into that. A lot of times you don't think that your child or your student qualifies, but they do. So please take a look at that. Next slide, please. High school versus college. Next slide. One of the things we had with our daughter was ready to go to college. Our son probably needed some more time in the oven. And so one of the things you need to take a look at with your son or daughter, are they ready, even though they academically might be ready for college, emotionally, are they ready for college? And so one of the things my wife and I did, we had what we call across the couch talk, and we had really spent some time thinking about, we want to make sure that our son or daughter are in the best place, not only to succeed academically, but also to succeed emotionally as well. And so our daughter stayed and lived with us for the first year or two before she went to Pepperdine. Our son went and lived in the dorms, and we spent a lot more time with him at UC San Diego because we knew he wasn't quite ready. But that is something that you need to have a conversation with, not only with your spouse, but also with your student. Are they ready to make that commitment? I know that spending 2 more years at home for some high school students, I don't want to do it, this is crazy. But in the long term, in 50 years from now, those 2 years can make a huge difference in their emotional as well as where they are in their life. And also, if they're living at home, you can give them opportunities they don't have in high school, and with that, more flexibility and freedom as well. But this is a conversation that you need to have before you start making choices about where they're going to go to college. Next slide, please. So I can stop here and ask, I feel like I'm on the center stage, and ask if there are any questions before I go on, because I want to make sure, and I don't care, pretend that you're the only person sitting in the audience and I'm just talking to you. I want to make sure that I hit your key issues before I go on and talk about what college is like. Someone has to raise their hand. I can't, Thank you. Absolutely.
On one of the slides, you said that the dual enrollment classes, there's actual courses will be on campus.
Yeah.
High school, they do not, unless they have, if they want the option to go to.
Yeah, so the question or the statement was that the dual enrollment classes are being held here on Huntington Beach High School's campus. You have the option of going to GoldenWest and taking them there. So, yes. You bet. Goes up. Yeah. So the question was, if I go to a community college first and then transfer to a Cal State or UC, how does it affect my transfer rate? There's two issues. The first one is most people don't know that if you go directly to a community college and graduate, the percent, statistically, you have about an 80% chance of graduating at the four-year school. If you go directly to a four-year school, it's about 45%. And the reason is when you go to a community college, our class sizes, I'm going to get to your answer as well, but I want to give you some more information. Our class sizes, very seldom do we have any class over 75. Most of our classes are 30 to 35. So our instructor knows you by name, kind of knows your interests, and can help be a part of your academic life. At the four-year schools, first the TAs, they are just teaching. The class sizes, that's where the universities make their money, is by having larger classes, so you don't have that same interpersonal relationship. The success rates for students who transfer, and GoldenWest has an amazing transfer and success rates. That is one thing that we are well known for. So colleges love to have us. But the transfer rate goes up because now you have a track history of being a college student, and the student, you now have your general ed is out of the way, so you're moving right into your major. And so if you were going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is a very difficult school to get into out of high school unless you live in that area, you now know the major that you're going, and you have proven yourself with the community college classes. So going in, you have the grades as well as the stature of knowing that you'll be successful. I can tell you Cal State Fullerton is one of our best transfer partners. I will climb on the highest building in Huntington Beach and sing the president's praises, but they stand in line to get our students. They just absolutely love them because of the success rates and how well they have done. The other thing is because you won't be living in the dorm, usually as you're a junior, that is not one of the issues, and so you will probably not have any issues at all as long as your grades are good. And if your grades are good in high school, I can almost assure you they'll be good in college as well, so you'll have a number of good options. The other thing is, imagine you go to SC and it's $65,000 a year, and is this mom? Okay, so he goes, and after 4 years, you owe $350,000 in student loans, and he says, "Mom, you're not going to believe this. I finally know what I want to do, and it's only 2 more years of school." This is you collapsing in the back room with another $175,000. By going to the community college, if he says, "Mom, I'm going to take 3 more," oh, blessings, take 4 more classes. Find what your major is. And most students who go to college change their major 3 or 4 times. So have the opportunity while you have that at a community college to change your major, find your passion, and now you know why and the direction that you're going, and you haven't bankrupted the homestead. I even know some very wealthy parents that said, "Here's my deal. I will give you $100,000 that I would have paid for college, and it's waiting for you at the finish line to use however you want to buy a house, if you want to travel, you want to buy a business, whatever you want to do." But for the person I'm talking about, he knows the value of a dollar. Why am I spending it in places that aren't going to be what's best for my son or daughter? And so I hope that answered your question. Absolutely. Any? Yes. Oh. Number 2 first. So I know on the college side, yes. The high school side, I believe, I don't know if it's weighted or not.
It's not weighted. It depends on the class. Like as President McGrath was talking about, thank you. We have several different options in our district. We offer dual enrollment classes, as President McGrath's been talking about. You'll see more and more of those over the course of the next school year in the Bell schedule as we talk about. So we'll have dual enrollment classes. But we also, during the pandemic, we started offering concurrent enrollment classes, as President McGrath mentioned before, where students go to GoldenWest College's campus or take one of their online classes. And I think there's a list of 22 classes that we offer. We will take those 22 classes, any one of those 22 classes, and put that, the grade you received, back on your transcript. So if you take a class outside of that 22, we won't put it back on the transcript, but what you'll get a GoldenWest College transcript. So when you go to USC or you go to San Luis Obispo, you give them your high school transcript and your college transcripts, and that way they have a record that you've already taken some college classes. Mm-hmm. It's a great class, statistics. Isn't that a great class? That's one of our favorite classes we like to offer for a variety of reasons. But to answer your question, yes. So if a student is taking a statistics course, that's one of our 22, they would get college credit for that. And maybe in a second you can talk about what else that does for them. But also you'll get your high school credit for that also. In high school, obviously, you'll need to get multiple years of math, but that would count as a year of your math for high school. Correct. Correct. Well, I guess it goes back to the different course offerings. So like I said, some of our dual enrollment classes that are inside the Bell schedule at our schools, that's just going to a regular class just like they would every single day. The concurrent classes, one of the things that our students that I've heard our students really enjoy about those is you have greater flexibility, as President McGrath said from the very beginning, to say, okay, great, I want to take this statistics class, and you look on the course catalog for GoldenWest College and you see, wow, it's offered 6 different times. You can take any one of those 6 classes, so you could go, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility going through that route also. Again, it goes back to the class offerings that GoldenWest has. They may have an online statistics course, and they may have an in-person statistics course. Then you as the student would be able to choose or opt to say, okay, I'd rather take the online course.
And because of the pandemic, I can't think of a subject. Right now, some of our lab science courses we don't have online, even though we did during the pandemic, but every other class, there is an option for virtual. And we use Canvas, and I think, so it's the same virtual platform that the high school is using as well. So I could hear some of it. How about if I give you the microphone? Oh, yes. So in college, there's semester courses, and that is something that we are working out. If you take a semester course, history, for instance, it meets the history requirement at the college. The units, I think it meets half of your requirements. Yes. So there's 3 college units and 5 high school units. Does that answer your question? No, then ask it because I want to make sure that we do. Okay. Oh, I see.
The answer is yes. So what I would suggest is go talk with your guidance specialist. Have your son or daughter talk with the guidance specialist at their school and say, great, I took the first semester of U.S. history. You'd get, if you pass it, you get 5 units for doing that. And then there is a U.S. history that we offer through concurrent enrollment again, though. So that class would not be on your student's campus, high school campus, and you'd have to do it outside of kind of the regular school hours. So or virtual, true. So you would have some options if you choose to do that.
Depending on the UC or the Cal State and the major, it can. Again, using San Diego State, which is where I worked before. San Diego State is a very difficult university to get into unless you live in the San Diego area. So depending on the major, it can matter. So if your son or daughter wanted to go to San Diego, for instance, what I would recommend is you reach out to them now and say, how many units would make a difference for me as far as enrolling at state? You're right. Right, absolutely. But as a mom, I'd want him or her to take as many units as they could because you're going to end up paying for them, or they're going to end up paying for them as my son did with a student loan for years to come. So every unit you're taking now. Last year was the first year, Los Amigos, we had 2 students who came over. We graduated at GoldenWest a week before they did. And 2 students walked with us and got their AA degree, and the next week went and got their high school diploma. And so they now have 60 units. 60 times 2 at SC is 120 grand. I told them, you tell your parents, you guys owe me 50 grand because each of you got away, so pay up. So I would have them take as many as they could. Any other questions? Yes. Oh man, this is deep trouble. Here, I'm coming to you. And you probably don't want to speak on the microphone either, do you?
So if I take a class at Coastline or Orange Coast, how do those credits transfer over to GoldenWest?
So the question was, Coastline, so in our district we have 3 colleges, Coastline, Orange Coast, and GoldenWest. Long Beach, for instance, is a single college district, so is Cerritos. Because we're in the same district, it's like you could take 3 classes at GoldenWest, 2 classes at Orange Coast, and 1 class at Coastline, and it's all the same. You would choose probably whatever college you enrolled in first, as far as that would be what on the transcript. Also, we offer student services, so if you're an Orange Coast College student, you would go through their student services, but you could take classes at GoldenWest. That's fine. Yes?
So the counselor I talked with for GoldenWest said I should try to get a student education plan, but when I reach out to the counselors for GoldenWest, they said that as a high school I'm not allowed to do that. Do you know anything about that?
I'm going to give you my card. Send me an email. You and I will be best friends, and I'll find out for you. How does that sound? Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So the question was, if you take a dual enrollment class, that's a semester-long class, then would you get, how many credits do you get, and do you need to take another class, correct? For the rest of the school year. So ultimately, when you look at our statistics pathway, the way it's put together, student in the first, and one of the things that we've done over the course of 5 years is put in some student support measures. As we've learned, you know, just like any student who needs support as they go through any class, when they're in college class, they need the same thing. So for our statistics pathway, the first semester, they take kind of like an intro to statistics course. It's a semester-long course, so you get 5 units for that, okay? And then the next semester, you would take the GoldenWest College statistics course, and then that one would be out of the bell schedule right now, so it wouldn't be your 5th period class. It may be your 7th period class for some students, but that one will give you 10 credits. So at the end of that pathway, you'll get 5 for the first semester, and then you'll get 10 units for the second one. So for us, you would get, finishing that pathway, you get 15 high school credits. And then you end up with your statistics classes, which I think is a 5 credit or 4 credit? 5 credits for Golden West.
As opposed to what would it normally be if you were just doing a regular high school class?
It'd be 10 semesters, 10 credits. Okay. Yep. So you're doing an extra 5 going that route.
But then it doesn't go in the bell schedule.
Right now, that's an area we're continuing to grow and work on. But right now, that's the one thing, is it would be that class would have to be outside the bell schedule.
So it just depends on the class, really.
Yep. You're welcome. Pardon me?
Visual performing arts credit, you take a semester and then you get the whole year.
Here, you get to talk about that. You asked for a counselor, right? We have a counselor here.
So really quickly, I think Martha mentioned that most of the classes that on the flyer that parents, you guys receive on Parent Square, the 22 courses. So one 3-unit course is equivalent to 10 high school credits. So Martha mentioned, for example, if your child wants to take like history of rock, that class is considered 3 college units, but they get 10 high school credits, which is equivalent to 1 year. So we do have many students, because of their impacted schedules, let's say they're in MUN, APA, or other programs, they can't fit VPA into their schedule. It's very normal for them to use a summer session to take like a VPA class, a 3-unit course, and get 10 high school credits with us. The confusion comes with Math 160, because for those of you who know Mr. Sock, he teaches that prop stats class. That's why it's the 15 high school credits. But beyond that one class, all the flyer courses that you see, if you see a 3 units or more, is equivalent to 1 high school year. Let me add to one more confusion, but this is also an important one, is so besides VPA, like Martha mentioned, is for the world languages. This is an important one. So we are very fortunate here at Huntington Beach High School. We have ASL, American Sign Language, but not all of our other schools offer that. So example would be, so I was just telling this parent right there, I have a daughter myself. She's not linguistically gifted. I mean, I'm Chinese, but she can't speak Chinese to save her life. So and she's very young, but I'm like, listen, you can take Spanish for 2 years, because for those of you who want your child to go to a UC or CSU right after high school, they need 2 years of world languages, right? Like 2 years of Spanish or ASL or something. My daughter would not survive. So I'm like, you're going to take ASL 180 for 1 semester, and that is equivalent to 2 years of American Sign Language. Or if she doesn't like American Sign Language, she takes Spanish 180, and that's equivalent to 2 years of Spanish, and she's done. Now, don't get me wrong, she can continue with Spanish 3, Spanish 4, and all that good stuff, but that's a confusion. The general rule is 3 college units or more equivalent to 10 high school credits, with the exception of that Math 180 dual enrollment here and the world languages. Hopefully that makes sense, or maybe I made it muddier. Yes. 185.
But that's on the course description, it says that's 3 years, so, and it's a continuation, so you would take Spanish 1 and 2, and then you could take that course.
Correct. So if you, let's say you're in Miss Acuna or Miss Adame, you completed Spanish 1 and 2, right? You're following me. Then what you do is that you submit a transcript to Golden West College counselor and say, I've completed Spanish 1 and 2, I got a C or better. And what will happen is that they will place you in Spanish 185, okay? Now, and then you take 185, and then that's equivalent to 3 years. Or if you want to come back and take Spanish 4 in your senior year, or you can take Spanish 280 at Golden West College, and that'll be your 4th year. Does that kind of make sense? Or you can take 180, 185, 280, and then that's 3 semesters, but equivalent to 4 years. You guys got that? 180, 185, that's 4 years. Yeah, so we have Spanish that's called Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4 AP. Golden West College has 180, 185, 280, 285. So 180 is equivalent to 2 years, 185 is equivalent to the 3rd year, 280 is equivalent to the 4th year. Maybe I'm not making sense. 3, exactly. And then 280 is Spanish 4. And then beyond that, 285, think of it like AP Spanish language. How's that? Then we'll hire you to teach. Does that kind of make sense? But just to let you know, if you're starting the Spanish here, the curriculum is different. So, so don't be surprised. So we tell students that if you're successful at Golden West College with 180, 185, 280, continue that track because, you know what I mean? It's not that you won't be successful, it's that curriculum is a little bit different because the textbooks are different. Yeah? Okay. Sorry. Oh, still me?
I don't know. We'll see.
President McGrath, probably.
So just to clarify, if I take a dual enrollment class that is 3 units and it's a college class, then that's the equivalent of 1 full year as in 2 high school semesters.
Correct, so 10 units.
Repeat the question.
So here, go ahead and repeat the question.
Sure. If I take a dual enrollment class that is 3 units in like a college class, then that's the equivalent of a full year in high school, 2 high school semesters.
Yes. You're correct.
Exceptions, though, sorry. There are exceptions. Health, for us, is only a semester, right? So if you took health at Golden West College, it's a 3-unit course, but you will still only get 5 high school credits because here, we don't give you 10. The other exceptions are U.S. government and economics. There are 3-unit courses at Golden West College, but there are only 5 high school credits for us. So we won't give you 10, we only give you 5. But VPA is 1, English 100 is a 4-unit course, is equivalent to 1 year, 10 high school credits.
Since we're talking Spanish, I want to continue that. So after AP, which is what we offer, our highest level of Spanish here, can you go higher than that at Golden West?
They have a 285, which is Spanish literature. I don't know Spanish, but that's almost equivalent. So AP has AP Spanish language and AP Spanish literature. That's equivalent to about 285 at Golden West College.
Okay, so when he finishes AP Spanish 5 here,
He's done.
how could he continue, so he's just a sophomore and he'll finish this year. So for his junior, senior year, I actually was wondering, could I sign him up for Golden West, even though it wouldn't be high school credit, but
So-
it would be Golden West?
So for community colleges, we only do the 2nd year of college. So we don't have majors, that's with the bachelor's. So he certainly is welcome to take, but the highest he can go with a community college is the sophomore year. Absolutely. Yes.
Just
You know, I don't know. California, it's true. Outside of California, I don't know. I've never worked outside of California. Is there a state that you're interested in?
Well, we were interested in Colorado State.
No, you're in going to Colorado State?
Well, she wants to work towards transferring there. So
Here. Can you so we're best friends. Send me an email. I will put you in touch with one of our counselors and we'll find out. Okay? Oh. And that was New Mexico? Right. Yeah. Yeah. So our transfer center will have information about Colorado, and so we'll find out for you. Oh. Hi.
It's regarding the choice of taking AP class in high school versus taking college classes in the GoldenWest. My daughter is in sophomore year in high school, and right now she's in the dual enrollment with the GoldenWest College. She found out she's already taken dual enrollment in math classes in GoldenWest College, and whatever she got from GoldenWest College, actually the grading, it's not going to improve the GPA she earned in the high school, which means if she takes AP classes in high school, then her GPA will improve significantly. And when you go to UC right after high school, you know those class ranking and the GPA matters a lot. So when you are considering those GPA things, how do you balance the choice of AP in the high school or go to the college to pick?
So the question was, her daughter is taking AP classes. The AP classes help her grade point average, and going to a UC with the higher grade point average and the ranking is important. Somewhat that is true. The weight part here is if she takes the AP classes, in essence, she's going to have to take those units again. Versus the dual enrollment classes, she gets the units as she goes. Does that make sense? If I take an AP class in history, for instance, I get the credit for the AP class in history when I go to the UC, but I don't get the units.
But if she passed the AP test
Then she's
and earned 4 or 3
Yeah.
she will earn
not at all of the UCs don't have to. Same for the privates. She gets the credit for the class, but a lot of times she doesn't get the units. If she takes the dual enrollment, she gets the units and the credit. So that's the difference.
If you go to GWC dual enrollment, you should find it. You just go Google. If not, I can put my email address and you can email me. We send that out via Parent Square a couple of times a semester, but if you just go Google and type in GWC dual enrollment, it will pop up. But if not, I'll put my email address. And maybe to clarify your AP question is, okay, for example, it also depends on your major, like President McGrath mentioned. So let's say your child took AP US history, got a 4, passed it, but if their major has nothing to do with history, that 4 units, even though it transfers, it may not help with his or her major. So hopefully that helps. And one more thing I want to add is that we don't weigh dual enrollment courses. However, when students apply to colleges in their senior year, college courses are considered weighted. Does that make sense? Okay, let me say that again. So AP and IB, for those of you who may have students going to Ocean View High School, AP and IB, you get an extra point, right? And A is 5, B is 4, C is 3 points. Even though we don't weigh that on our transcripts in Aries, when they apply to UCLA, Cal State Long Beach, USC, they put down GWC, let's say English 100. That class is weighted because it's a college course. So an A is actually 5 points. Now don't forget, for UCs and CSUs, they only weight up to 8 UC honors points. So this is kind of confusing. So when they apply to colleges, the GPA might not be the same as our Aries, because because we don't weigh the dual enrollment courses, colleges still weigh the courses. Okay, so make sure.
Absolutely.
You know, it was my, can you hear me? It was my understanding, thank you, Aunt. It was my understanding, and I used to do this, that if you took an AP class, whether or not the college accepted it as the class depended upon your score. So if I took AP Bio, but I wasn't going to be a bio major, they might take that if it was a 5 and only give me elective credit for that. Is that still correct? And also, if you got a 3, they might not give you credit at all. Right, which people do not and they didn't understand that before, but yeah, it depends on your score. Okay, so it still depends.
There's a question back here.
Yeah, so that is confusing, and that's why it's difficult. Okay, so first thing, what makes it very confusing is because the UCs and CSUs, let me preface by saying that UCs and CSUs, that's just one system. If your child's applying to out of state, they have their own rules. Let me just make sure I clarified that. We have classes, for example, your child might be in English 1 honors as freshman. You see the honors, great, right? But did you know that the UCs and CSUs don't weigh, that's an unweighted course for the UCs and CSUs. So that's the first confusion, right? You see the honors, you think it's weighted, but it's not. So that's why the Aries GPA will be different by the time your child applies to colleges. Okay, so let me make sure I say that. The second thing is, whether we as a district weigh the dual enrollment classes or not is our decision, just to make it clear. So we don't weigh, so let's say English 100, your child gets an A, they get 4 points. This student takes AP English Lit in his senior year, he gets an A, now he gets 5 points. So in Aries, it's kind of tricky because you would think, well, he's a 5.0. You have a 4. But when both of you apply to UCs and CSUs, that English 100 is considered a weighted course because you took it at a community college. So that's actually a 5. Just like English 1 honors, you see that is an honors class, but it's non-weighted. So the UCs and CSUs have their own calculation system. So, but just to let you know, dual enrollment classes, but the maximum that the UCs and CSUs will weigh is only 8 points. So that's why you see kids with taking 5 APs, 9, 10, it's just too much, first of all. But that's why they capped it at 8 honors points, because they also don't want students to take 5 AP classes every year because of the burnout rate. So I'm not sure if I answered your question. Hopefully I did. Yes. Weighted. Exactly.
I have a question about what you just said. So it's 8 courses, that's 2 per semester.
Sophomore and junior year only. So they don't weigh ninth grade grades, and when your child applies in their senior year, the UC applications due November 30th, as you know. They don't have senior grades yet. So the 8 points is for sophomore and junior years. Did that answer your question? Okay. Eight UC honors points, yes. So when they apply to UCs and CSUs, the application deadline is November 30th. And as you know, our first semester grades don't come out until first week of February. So when they look at your child's application, they only see 9th, 10th, and 11th grades, but they use the GPA of your 10th and your 11th grades. The assumption is that your GPA for senior year remains the same. So when they said, congratulations in March that you've been accepted to UCLA, let's say, it's a preliminary acceptance because then you have to submit your senior year transcript by July 15th. So let's say you're a 4.2 student, senior year, senior itis comes, you have a 3.2, UCLA can retract or take away that acceptance letter. You're good? Okay. Oh. Sorry, President McGrath.
You're doing great.
Sorry, I'm like,
This is awesome.
I'm sorry. This is his presentation. I feel like I just took over. I'm so sorry.
So much easier than your world.
I was a high school counselor for 11 years, and that's kind of what I do. That's why I love this, but I feel bad because this is his present. Yes.
So the question is, why would a high school student take high school classes when you have the option of taking concurrent or dual enrollment? I think there's a couple reasons. The first one is I think it's important that high school students are on a high school campus and develop socially, they're friends, and they're part of the world that they have grown up with. I also think it's important that you students have options, and so you could be an amazing student and I'm your good friend and I'm not ready to take a college class yet, but we still are friends. We're developing that friendship on the high school campus. I think for in special situations, if you are an amazing student and this is where you want to spend your time, absolutely. Whatever the arrangements are with Huntington, the district, you could take 22 classes as the two students did at Los Amigos, graduate from community college before you get your high school diploma, and that's fine. But I think what we are trying to provide here, we have thousands of students and give those thousands of students a whole bunch of options that best meet their needs. And so we are just partnering, saying one of the options for high school students would be to take either some or a whole bunch of college classes in preparation for their college career. But I personally think the most important thing is that you're involved in a high school campus, you develop the friends, you do all the social activities, because that helps develop the foundation of being a young and then a mature adult going into the society. So that, to me, I wouldn't want my son or daughter spending all their time at either online or at GoldenWest taking classes. I want them being here and being part of, and they could take whatever classes they wanted. Does that, okay. Oh, absolutely. I see that hand in the back.
We'll also send them out again. So, yeah, what's happening
Here.
right now, schools are preparing, and as you know, you'll start to receive information about scheduling for classes for next school year, and that usually happens when we come back from the winter break. So we'll put out information, and we can do so Dr. Chan puts out information periodically on the classes as it gets time to register for the classes. So we'll continue to put those out. And also as you're scheduling with your guidance specialist and talking about classes for your next year, if you're a freshman, sophomore, or junior this year, you can also get information from them, and they have the information also. So a couple different ways you can go about it, but we usually, like I said, is put ours out through Parent Square, and we'll continue to do that. So.
And you're reminding me, we'll do a better job at the college as well. We'll find some place to put the dual enrollment and the partnerships that we have, so you could be able to find them there as well. I see. Any other questions? Yes.
Doctor, so you have a freshman right now who's taking Spanish, one semester of Spanish 1, right? Spanish 2 right now, taking one semester of that, and then next semester you're thinking about taking her out of that class and putting her into a college class. Oh, okay. So you're taking both classes. You'll take the Spanish 2 at the high school, and then you also take the Spanish 3 outside of that. Could you? You could absolutely do that. I guess you know your daughter, your student, better than anybody else if they can handle that, for sure. As Dr. Chan mentioned earlier, when you look at our world languages, and we've got a couple different options, one of the things we always want to make sure parents are aware of is that they are not exactly lined up. So when you start on a path, so you start on a high school track and you take Spanish 1 in high school, Spanish 2, if you go to Spanish 3, he may notice or she may notice that, hey, that's not quite exactly, or I haven't quite learned that yet, or hey, I learned that a long time ago. So that pacing is a little bit different. And that doesn't mean you can't do that. We just want to make sure that we inform parents about that before that happens. Our recommendation is always, hey, start on a path. And if you start on taking a dual enrollment path and you take a Spanish 180 class, just finish that. Take your 185 and finish that. If you want to go even more, then there's other classes you can take in Spanish. So that's our recommendation, but yes, to answer your question, they can do that. It's just a little bumpier than if they stay in the same track. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We definitely wouldn't recommend that, but I guess outside of it, she could. So, I mean, she's got options, but when you look at the literature we put out, you'll have again, going back to the 22 classes, we've got, it'll say all the 22 classes. It also talks about the recommended grade levels that they take the courses. Because as we offer these courses, we want to make sure that the students have, first of all, they're going to be successful. In order for them to be successful, they need to have the background information before they can jump into another course. So that's why we have that recommendation on what grade levels take the courses. And that's just something for you to be aware of and look at. Could you? Yeah, you could. I don't know that I'd recommend that, but you could do that.
Taking a dual enrollment's too hard. What do they do? Can they drop and?
So the question was, students taking a dual enrollment class, they find out, wow, this is a really challenging class. It's too hard right now. Can they drop that class? Correct? So there are different timelines. So college is a little bit different than high schools in this situation. Once you're in a high school class, you're pretty much in that for the semester, right? Colleges, there's different timelines, and you can maybe talk to this a little bit. There's a timeline when, okay, you're going to drop, you're not going to get a grade on there, it's just going to look like you didn't take it. There's also another timeline, so there's several different timelines where you drop, I think with a W, withdrawal on your transcript. So your transcript would say, okay, statistics with a W. So the colleges you send it to, that would then see, okay, they dropped this statistics course before they got a grade for it. So there's different timelines. So one when, hey, no harm, no foul, nothing appears on a transcript. There's a time when you get a W, and then there's also a time when you get a grade. So I think those are the three, right? So just to be aware of those different timelines and what they may mean. And some people that matters to them. Other people, it's not a big deal.
And we also encourage our faculty not to allow a student to go too far. So if I'm your math instructor and it doesn't look like you're going to be successful, at least give you the option of saying, I don't know if this is the right time for you to take this course. But remember, as a college class, we teach you as adults. So if you said, stick it in your ear, I want to stay in the class, absolutely, you can stay in the class. But we encourage our college instructors to at least have the conversation and let students know this could be an uphill climb for you, so you have that option. The other thing you need to know as parents is we treat students as adults. So if you take a biology class, for instance, in high school, it's a much different class than it is in college. And so with that, when you sign the permission slip, you're signing, we are taking a college class, and we're going to treat your 14, 15-year-old as if they're an 18-year-old, an adult, as they take the class. We also don't have the same requirements. I know for supervision, faculty, adult has to be. In the college world, the faculty member can step out of the class, and it's a whole different world. And so you need to know we are treating your high school student as if they are a college student on our campus. Here at the high school, it's different. You're treated as a high school student taking a college class. So that's the difference between the dual and the concurrent enrollment. Yes?
This is regarding the health class. So my child took health in the summer at Central High School, versus going to a college. So it sounds like it would have been better if he had taken the health class at a college.
I guess it depends on what your priorities and goals are. We have multiple options for classes. We have our health class you can take obviously during the school year. There's some options over the summer. Pacific Coast is one. I think that's a 100% online class, right? That the students can take. And then obviously there's the courses at GoldenWest. So it just really just depends on what your needs are. The GoldenWest one, if you're saying would be better to take, you'll get college credit for it, whereas the Pacific Coast one, you'll just get high school credit. So the dual enrollment one, that's the benefit to that, is you're getting both credit in college and in high school.
So in my world, at the end of class, students pack their books and they leave. And so it's almost 7:30, and I don't want you to do that to me. So what I would like to do is to thank you for coming. I will stay up here as long, I guess the three of us will, and answer whatever questions. But I can also kind of reassure you, if you're here with your student, based on my experience, your student is going to do really well in college. Those students whose parents are involved, who care about the steps that they're going to take next, means there is a support system that will allow them to succeed at the next chapter. And so I know sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking to think, oh, they're leaving and they're going on. Well, I can tell you, based on my experience, you've done an amazing job in preparing them to move on just by the mere fact that you're here. So thank you for coming. Again, we are open to answer any questions, and this won't be the last time that we will do this. We will continue to reach out and help your students succeed. So thank you.